Canada's World Junior team is locked in. The Vancouver Canucks are locked in. And the CFL saved the best for last. All that and more in this holiday edition of Sports QuaranTV. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Sports QuaranTV. Chris Dobson, Gerry Green coming at you. Jerry, hope all's well, man. As you can tell, decided to change the background up a little bit. Santa Claus hat. The holidays are here. This is the last one we're shooting before the holidays. And you know me, I don't mind looking ridiculous on camera. We got a great show. We've got a lot to talk about, and we're going to start right here in the Maritimes, the QMJHL, like we always do. A little bit of news coming out of the QMJHL as COVID cases start to rise a little bit. Rules are being put in place. Arenas are being put at half capacity. New measures are coming into place. Is it a little scary right now to see what's happening?
Yeah, but far different than this time last year, Chris, or even earlier this year. Let's say when they came back, and geez, think about it now, Chris. They came back in March of this year from a long hibernation, I guess, during winter of 2020 to 2021. But I think we know a lot more now, and I think the teams are very diligent on testing their players every day, and where they stay and where they go and what they do are pretty controlled, and that's the price they have to pay player wise movement if you want to continue to play and you want the teams to continue to play. So we've learned a lot since pandemic started, and we're talking about almost 2 years now. It is mentally tiring, but the government has seen fit to let the queue continue. Now they're going to let them continue because we are in the last weekend of play before the Christmas break, Chris, and we'll see what come May after that. But definitely challenging, but I think we've learned a lot more.
So let me play devil's advocate here just for a minute. And that is, what if, say this continues to boil on over? I mean, the trade period opens up, I believe, in a week from now, or very close to it. Okay. Things are going to be happening this way. What happens if this thing starts to increase and get more and more out of control? Don't forget the Memorial Cup is 6 months away. Imagine this thing carries on. Think of the revenue loss again if the St. John Sea Dogs unfortunately get kicked with the fact that imagine having to host a Memorial Cup tournament at 50% capacity. That's all I'm saying.
I can't. Yeah, no, it's difficult, Chris, and it's hard to imagine. Again, we haven't imagined where we'd be at this point. We didn't imagine where we'd be during the summer, and it's hard to imagine where we're going to be next. I mean, these precautions are being made because there seems to be a string of a variant spreading through, and they want to shut it down at Christmas time. Yeah, maybe, but again, I'm just so uncertain. But the fact that we have vaccinated people in our community that are getting it, but the vaccination wasn't supposed to cure it. It was supposed to reduce the symptoms that you get if you did obtain it. But it's been very powerful, Chris, and it's been a world that has been really difficult to adjust to from week to week, from month to month, and just hopefully everything gets stabilized.
I want to go into my hero and zero moment here for a second, Jerry, because I'm going to start with, I want to, applaud the St. John Sea Dogs for what they did in order to accommodate season ticket holders coming on in. These last minute rules and regulations came on in. It's not going to affect the games for Friday, but Saturday, St. John said, if you're a season ticket holder, you've got a ticket, come on in. That ticket's going to allow you in the building. You may not be able to sit in your seat because new rules and pods and regulations, you might have to move, but that ticket will get you in. Where my zero comes in is how the Moncton Wildcats handled this situation. And this isn't, and again, I'm not in their position. I don't know. I'm sure that there was a discussion made, but they sent a note out saying this is what's going to happen. If you're a season ticket holder, your ticket is no longer valid. So you have to buy yourself a new ticket for every game you want to go to while this 50% capacity, while you could be without a seat. So they're like, their answer was buy a new ticket on Ticketmaster. And at the end of the year, however many tickets you bought, we'll give you a credit for, at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? If I'm a season ticket holder, with all due respect, it is Christmas time. what happens? Say, even if this thing goes to the end of January, maybe even mid-February, because once the games are back, you could be losing 6 to 8 man games at $22 a ticket. Do the math. Most people go 2 tickets a piece. It's about $160 a piece. So 300, we'll say $310, $320 out of your pocket that you have to wait till the end of the year to fork out of your pocket to go see the Wildcats play hockey.
Mm-hmm.
I'm shocked. I am shocked. Shame on you. You should have done it right. If you're using Ticketmaster specifically, use a promo code SeasonTix. Boom, makes the ticket free. Anyways, I'm done. There's heroes and zeros here. But what I want to talk about on a positive side of things, the Canadian World Junior roster was announced, and on that roster, there are 4 QMJHL players that made the team: Lucas Cormier, Xavier Bogo, Maverick Burke, and Elliot Desnoyers. There was a couple notable names that shocked me a little bit. Most surprisingly to me, Joshua Roy did not make this roster. Did it shock you?
A little bit, based on his production and his leadership in Sherbrooke. But I've always thought, Chris, this is a 19-year-old tournament, and he's still just 18. I find they always want, again, thought of it as a 19-year-old tournament. You think of those players that you just mentioned. Bork was there. Maverick Bork was tried out last year as an 18, didn't make it. Great player. Again, and if you remember last year, Chris, the Q players were playing, and the OHL and WHL players weren't playing when they went to this training camp that you remember Spence went to. So again, they seem to be focused on 19-year-olds, but I'm glad he made it. And Lucas Cormier, same thing. I'm a little surprised Henrik Lapierre doesn't make that lineup. But again, you don't know the construction of the team and how they want the balance to be. And maybe Lapierre was a winger. I don't know specifically Lapierre's position. Let's say he was a center. Maybe they had 4 strong centers down the middle and couldn't use them and didn't think he'd adjust on the wing. There's so many different reasons why players don't get taken. But I think Wah specifically is because he's 18.
So, what are the interesting notes? Now, again, not in our own backyard, but another note to see that Conor Bedard made this roster as a 16-year-old. And, we were chatting off camera about the 16-year-olds who made this World Junior roster. And the last one to do it before him was who?
Conor McDavid in 2014, Chris. I mean, it's highly unusual. I don't know much about Bedard, just what I read. I've never seen him play on the ice. I've never seen him skate, never seen him shoot, nothing like that. But obviously, he's got what it takes to be on the World Junior team, which, Gretzky was taken as an underage. Lindros was taken as an underage. Crosby was taken as an underage. And you know who else was? Jason Spezza. Jason Spezza and Bouwmeester in the same year were taken on the World Junior team as underagers. So it's interesting to note how, having not seen the player at all, he must have had quite an impact to make that team at 16.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting to see. Now, again, you'll notice the tournament goes on. I do believe the last time I saw it, 16-year-olds do have to wear a full cage at the World Juniors, though.
Right. Always. Yes.
Right. Exactly. So either way, I'm going to say, but no Q goalies. It's the real changing of the guard. You look at Luongo, Fleury, you look at some of the goaltenders who came on through. Yeah, it was a little surprising for me, but overall, hey, it's a great feat. And I'm glad that all the other leagues are playing as well. So, you get a chance to watch these guys come in, because you're right. Last year, the Q was the only league playing. So, it was good to see some of those OHL guys go in there, but at least they're in game shape and ready to go.
Yeah, it should be fun. The training camp, of course, very short, and the fact that they only had a quick evaluation, that's another reason why sometimes some players like Lapierre might slip through the cracks based on not getting enough exposure with the selection committee.
So let's stay on the ice, but let's move leagues. I want to go to the National Hockey League because there's a lot going on there. We're going to start with the Vancouver Canucks. Bruce Boudreau's in place. The Nucks are now 5-0. Power play is clicking well. Everything's going well. Is there a chance? And again, the best part about this is they're 3 points out of a wild card spot now.
Yes, there's still a long trail to be made here. And a lot of these games that they've played, that they've won, have been on home ice. Let's see what happens away from home. But for me, when you change a coach, you're changing an atmosphere maybe in the dressing room. But that coach has to put some sort of fingerprint on this team and change something that they're doing. And what I've noticed specifically, Chris, is their power play has improved dramatically. In the 5 games that they've won, the power play's clicking at 30%. They're 4 for 13, and their penalty kill is up over 81%, of which it was dead last in the league going into those 5 games. So if that's an influence of Boudreau, hey, full marks. And maybe it seems from the games I've watched with the Canucks, they seem to have some jump in their lineup. And Chris, I hate to say this, but it's amazing Conor Garland's impact on that team. Every highlight I see for the Vancouver Canucks, he's in the middle of it.
I think one of the greatest things I saw, maybe you saw it on Twitter this week, well, there was a game this week that they actually mic'd Conor Garland up for the game.
I did.
And, yes. And you just see how much fun he was having. You know, you look at everything and the way the dynamic of that team has shifted. Everybody's smiling. Everyone's having fun. Everyone's laughing. And you talk about the impact he had. You know, there's a reason that the Canucks took a chance on him. And, you know, how many times did we hear as commentators in the QMJHL, Conor Garland will never make it at the pro level?
Hey.
Time and time again. And obviously he's done himself well. His agent deserves a huge raise because Conor Garland got paid and he deserves every dollar of it.
He's unique talent indeed. And I think it's some of that, I don't know. He's just like a water bug out there. It's amazing to watch. They're having fun. Vancouver is. Edmonton's not having so much fun lately. All of a sudden, you know, they've lost 6 in a row, and 3 of the last 3, I think, have been at home and against some worthy opponents. Make no mistake. But Edmonton has fallen by the wayside, and I don't think they know what's going on. I think they think they're going to work their way out of it. But how do you put your finger on that?
Number one problem in Edmonton right now is they need a bona fide number 1 backstop. They need a new goaltender. And I know, and we're not going to get into a conversation about the Montreal Canadiens, Jerry, I promise you. But if I'm Edmonton right now, I am picking up the phone and calling Jeff Gorton and asking the exact situation with Carey Price today. What would it cost to acquire a goaltender like Carey? I tweeted it out today. Being realistic, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and go trade me Conor McDavid for Carey Price, but realistically, what would it take and what would it cost to have Carey Price ended up in an Oilers uniform before this season's over? And I would have to think, obviously, Koskinen would probably have to go back one way from a salary perspective. You get a ton of prospects. The Habs are going to have to likely eat 50% of Carey Price's salary, which they can do. I think their entire team is only accumulating $35 million in salary right now. But overall, if I'm Edmonton right now, I'm picking up the phone and making that call, because if I'm Montreal and Jeff Gorton does decide to go to a rebuild, Carey Price is your number 1 guy. He's got to go. I don't know. They got to fix it. They got to fix it.
Well, and I told you that during the expansion draft that I thought he was going to go, and where better to go than would be Seattle. But to go to Edmonton, I don't know if there's anybody on their lineup, Chris, that I really want, that I would think would be valuable enough, that Carey Price value type of player. I don't know if it's Nugent Hopkins or somebody like that. I don't know. There's nobody else.
Wouldn't really even want him. Too old. I'd want young prospects and picks. That's what I want.
Exactly. And maybe, you know, you take 75% of the salary and Montreal takes 25. There's got to be some reward there for Montreal. But, you know, having same prospects, Edmonton's not been very good at drafting. You know, they've never been 5 first-round picks they had, or 5 or 4 overall picks they had. They've never been good at drafting. But, you know, down the
what are you talking about? Neil Yakupov turned out to be a star. What are you talking about?
There you go. Down the highway in Calgary, they're not even playing, Chris. They're sitting on the sidelines because of COVID. You have Carolina that was out west, got stopped up in Vancouver, and Aho had to stay over in Vancouver, matter of fact, with a trainer because of that. You have Marchand and Bergeron both sitting with COVID protocol. Is it starting to become a problem for the NHL? They've canceled or postponed a few games. It's starting to be all over the place.
It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. And I know, you know, let's go hypothetical here. Say these cases continue to rise. Like what happened to the Canucks last year? Do you remember how many man games they had to shut down last year due to COVID? Well, Calgary's not far off right now. It's just time away. Either that, or they're going to call up, you know, the Jacob Pelches of the world and allow the Stockton Heat to start playing as the Flames, basically bring in the replacements. But in my opinion, you know, what happens if we close the border? What happens if this thing gets out of control and teams can't come across the border anymore? I don't know what's going to take place at this point, but it is starting to get real. It's starting to get scary. The only good news here is that obviously with the Olympic break coming up, whether or not they will or they won't go, I will say this, and that is, you know, there's a 3-week break regardless. So I'm wondering if what's going to happen while the Olympic break was on. So I don't know, because arenas are starting to get booked up. Venues had already planned. They still need revenue to come on in. So yeah, hockey players will not be playing regardless. Maybe they can get a grasp on the COVID thing. Who knows?
Yeah, a lot of teams have it under control, and again, we know a lot more than we did when this ripped through the NHL, and their season didn't start till, I don't know, it was February or March of last year. This year was when that last season started. So, but the other night I was watching a game with Ottawa and Florida. And Florida continued contending to be one of the top teams in the NHL, and how fun it was to watch Ottawa go into Florida and get a big victory. Chris, have you watched them lately? They seem like a youthful team that's maybe on the rise.
I absolutely will say this about the Ottawa Senators. And for me, it started with, I used to have a demise for the Sens. I didn't like the Sens. I didn't like, and I always purposely avoid. I don't know what it was. It was a grudge. I don't know what it was. I didn't like them. Last year, when I started watching Tim Stützle, we started watching Drake Batherson, Brady Tkachuk, all these guys starting to click and do what they're doing. Thomas Chabot in the blue line. I love young hockey teams. I think, they're fun to watch. And I said myself, I was like, this is going to be a great team to watch. And this year, I think I was expecting a little more from Ottawa this year to take a bigger leap than they had last year. But yeah, watching them put the boots to Florida made me absolutely smile. And I do love it. And again, maybe it's because we're a little closer to some of the players who were there as they came through the QMJHL when they rolled through. So I have a bit of a soft spot for them. But overall, if you're the Sens right now, you saw an interview with Peter Dorian not that long ago talking about, and when I said the word rebuild, we're not even close to being done yet, but now we have our core in place. These are the guys we're going to build around. And watch out, Jerry, in 2 years from now, the Ottawa Senators are going to be lethal.
Yeah, Kachuk was late getting to the game to the team because of contract negotiation, but he is the straw that stirs the drink there, and he gets under the skin of the other team. He's a hard-hitting player. He scores goals. He does everything in every end of the ice, and he's the exciting part. And I'm glad they've really locked him up for long term, and everything looks promising for the Senators. I like to watch them when they're on TV.
Oh, you're absolutely right. And again, if you look at what they're doing and how they've done it, and Sens fans were in dire straits for a long time. I mean, a lot of people were talking about moving the team. They weren't happy. I mean, Peter Dorian was basically everything but thrown out of the city of Ottawa. But, kudos to him. He's turned that thing around. He told fans to be patient, and sure enough, he kept his word.
What about my Bombers? Did you watch or not?
Of course I watched.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Well, on the other channel, you had the Bears and the Packers. Are you serious? Come on, you're watching the Grey Cup. It's
Aaron Rodgers is my
game.
Fantasy QB. Aaron Rodgers.
And you know what? QB. The ratings were the highest it has been in a long time. Over 3 million Canadians tuned in to the Grey Cup, won by the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who have now won back to back 2019 and 2021. But Chris, it was a game. Of course, I'm a Bomber fan. Didn't like what was happening heading into the fourth quarter. And again, it was a matter of turnovers at the right time, wind being a factor in the game. And I don't think it had anything to do with the turnovers, and Hamilton being very opportunistic against a Bomber defense that was rated number 1 all season long, didn't give up more than 17 points in any game that they played. And here they were in the fourth quarter planning to use the wind as their advantage. And sure enough, they did. The most puzzling thing about it, and they don't talk about it as much, and I don't know why, after the Bombers took the lead on a field goal, 23-21, they kick off after a field goal. You kick it off, and with the wind, it carried the ball into the end zone. But just into the end zone, the Hamilton player catches it and gives them a point. And so now it's a 3-point lead for the Bombers. I could not, and it's not talked about enough, and I don't know why, because, of course, then we saw Hamilton drive down the field, really could have had a touchdown, but kick a field goal just to tie because you gave them that single point. The logic to me is, and I'm a little bit of a editorial here, if he doesn't kneel down, when he does kneel down, they get it to 35. If he doesn't kneel it down, Chris, he's at least getting to the 25, maybe even to the 30, running it back on the big field of the CFL, because it takes a while to run that far because the ball was hoofed with the wind. So it carried right back into the end zone. He had lots of time to bring it out. So you gave up that point for what, 10 yards? And then they drive down the field and really had a chance to win with a touchdown. Could have had a chance to win with a field goal. It's interesting how a turn of events can make the outcome be what it was, and a dramatic interception at the end. It was a tremendous game. I love football, NFL, CFL, whoever it might be. Not much arena football. But this CFL football game with the marbles, all the marbles on the line, I thought it was a tremendous, entertaining event.
And again, you have to tip your cap to the Hamilton Ticat. I'd asked you last week during our show if there was a snowball chance in hell that Hamilton could come back and win this and beat Winnipeg. And I remember texting you, I think it was right around halftime or shortly thereafter, Hamilton had the lead. And your exact words to me were, calm down, not worried. Like everything's fine, not even
right until you know what happened, Chris? They changed quarterbacks, not by choice, because one of them got injured. And you know how coaches can be. They've set up a game plan for a particular quarterback. Now Mazzoli was more of a running quarterback. He could run the ball and throw the ball, which Evans wasn't. And so it changes up the whole scheme of things, which in football, if you change your game plan, you got to adjust on the fly. Sometimes it can be a challenge.
So let's stay football, move on. We've got 3 minutes left, and I want to talk about the NFL this week. A big game between your New England Patriots and my Indianapolis Colts Saturday night. This is a huge game. As good as Mac Jones has been, this is a massive wild card implication game for the Indianapolis Colts. And I want to get your thoughts on it. Take your fandom out of it. Are you excited for the game Saturday night?
Oh, see, now I was going to make sure you knew it was Saturday night. I was going to tell you. Now, don't get settled in on the couch on Sunday afternoon, Chris. It's Saturday night. I can't wait. It's going to be tremendous. I think certainly it doesn't matter to me whose record is what and what is at stake. Both of them have to come and be prepared to play. It's interesting that playing in Indianapolis, of course, the weather's not going to be a factor. So we'll see who's who, because again,
Colts coming off a bye week too.
Right, both of them. And New England playing, right? New England was by this week too. And New England coming off that win bowl that they won, and had to adjust their game plan. Maybe not to that extreme, but here they're going to play indoors in Indianapolis. We're going to see who's who. And I think, and I hope the New England Patriots put a stamp on being one of the contenders for the Super Bowl by drowning your sorrows by beating your Indianapolis Colts.
Look, I understand that, history is not on our side when it comes to New England. I'm well aware of that. However, this is a new era. This is a new time. Our D is playing very well right now. We've looked great in the last 6 games that we've played. I think Carson Wentz will be fired up. They had that last game in their pocket. They should have won that game. I'm disappointed they did. They could have beat Tampa Bay. They should have beat Tampa Bay, and they didn't. I'm excited for this. I'm amped up for this. Don't worry about anything else. Just go 0-1 right now. 1-0 right now. I don't care.
Saturday night at 9:20. I am ready. That is going to be a great game. And a couple of games from the past weekend, I thought Tampa did a good job with, again, held on for the win. But the Bills, I don't know. The Bills are really confusing me what they can do. And then the Rams go into Arizona and get a big victory. So again, it's a season that you never know what's going to happen from week to week, from the top where the best teams are, even into the middle, into the bottom. You never know who's going to win.
No, I absolutely agree. Quick, we've got less than a minute to go. I want to get your opinion right now. Who's the favorite to win the MVP in the NFL this season?
The MVP?
Yeah. Would you think that Tom Brady's still the favorite there? Would you think he's got a chance to do it?
Yeah, I think he does. I don't think, and they say how hard it is for a running back to win MVP. Your guy in Indianapolis, I know, is who you're going to pump his tires. But Aaron Rodgers, like him or hate him, he has been able to deflect all the negativity and has his Packers Murray playing well. I know, yeah.
No, I agree. You
but I do think it's always a quarterback.
Yeah, I would be. I would love to see, obviously for selfish reasons, I'd love to see Jonathan Taylor win it. Yeah, you're right. He'd get my vote, but at the end of the day, he's a running back. Jerry, it is time. Everyone's favorite part of the week. It's time for the wrap. Starting right off the hop, the dust has settled from the Grey Cup. Rumors floating around. Is the CFL going 4 downs?
You bite your tongue, Chris. There's no way the Bombers or the CFL is going to go to 4 downs unless they're paid big money. And that could be a deciding factor. So then what are we going to make the field smaller? We're going to put the goalposts at the back of the end zone. Look, just don't mess with the CFL. It's our game. 3 downs is Canadian football. The F1 had a dramatic finish, Chris, in more ways than one. What happened?
What happened is it took over 2 hours to declare Max Verstappen the winner. First time he's won. Congratulations goes out to him and the Red Bull team. They beat Lewis Hamilton in a controversial decision. There was a lot going on in the Abu Dhabi. Excuse me. Overall, very excited for Max Verstappen. Exciting. This all came off the back of a Netflix documentary. Now everybody loves F1. But bottom line is congrats to Max Verstappen and Red Bull. Absolutely love it. Jerry, Fox is doing a documentary on John Madden, dropping on Christmas Day. Was he the greatest commentator of all time?
Well, you have to say, Chris, you think of Howard Cosell in the 70s, you think of Madden in the 80s, and how unique he was with Pat Summerall. That was the tandem you wanted to see, and they always had the big game on CBS. But now you got 3 other guys like Troy Aikman, Tony Romo, and Chris Collinsworth, I think are tremendous color analysis in the NFL. Those are my favorites, and there's still some great commentators out there, and they fall into that category. Speaking of great, how about Steph Curry, Chris? What great did he do now?
Absolutely. Move over, Ray Allen. Steph Curry is officially the greatest shooter in the history of the NBA. First quarter against the Knicks, the Warriors superstar dropped his 2,974 three-pointer to be the all-time great. Congrats to him. Love seeing Ray Allen on hand. Gave him a jersey. They took some photos. Absolutely loved it. Jerry, pretty sure you've got a new favorite Raptor in Toronto land. Tell me about him.
Yeah, he's growing on me, Chris. He was their first-round pick, 4th overall in the NBA draft. His name is Scotty Barnes. If you haven't had a chance to watch the Raptors, they're entertaining. They're losing more than they're winning. They're just below 500, but entertaining every night. They don't have OG Obanobi back yet, but Scotty Barnes is outstanding. 15 points, 8 rebounds. That's what he averages a game as a rookie. If you want to watch the Raptors, watch Scotty Barnes. You won't be disappointed. Are the NHLers going to be disappointed about the Olympics, Chris? What do you think?
They are not going. No way, no how, no chance. COVID's on the rise. They are not going anywhere, my opinion. It's the season of Festivus, Jerry. Have you conducted any feats of strength?
No feats of strength. I've got the poll up, and I want to air some grievances. I have some problems with you people, and I'll let you know after the show. Chris, what about Alphonso Davies? What's he been doing great?
3rd time in 4 years he's won Canadian Male Soccer Player of the Year. The Bayern Munich star is an absolute legend. He's 21 years old. Congrats goes to him. What a feat. Love to see it. Guys, that's going to be another great show for us in the books. Happy holidays. Thanks for watching all year long. We will see you in the new year.